out by BLG, who had blue side second pick last game. JDG, blue side second pick this game. Do take away the Vi. All right. Are we going to force Knight to play Azir, or are we going to hand that one over to HongQ?
I would not be surprised if at this point Azir goes unpicked, unbanned the remainder of the series.
I think HongQ is going to bust it out.
HongQ can play it. Knight still got the Ziggs in his back pocket whenever it's potentially available. It's going to be an early Aphelios Thresh for Gala and Vampire. Vampire on this Thresh was a monster earlier in the playoffs, so it'll be a real fun time to see him on this one again.
They are daring Knight to play his Azir, which I respect, and this puts BLG in an even bigger bind. If you pick the Ziggs now, HongQ can counter the Ziggs if he wants with a different pick.
Now, it's important to note, this Ziggs is flexible. It could go down towards Viper. He's played it throughout his career, most notably back in the day on Griffin. So definitely up his wheelhouse and potentially making it a little bit more difficult for HongQ to just lock in a counter on 3.
That is a good note. I will also say that Leona is a very good pairing if you are going to rock Ziggs, and that leads more credence to Ziggs bot, because Leona is a bit of a self-counter into Thresh. Because the Flay interaction, you gotta wait till Leona starts moving off the Zenith Blade, but once she moves, you Flay, you scoop her back, keep the space, try and kite the Leona out, but that passive and how it interacts with Ziggs is very good in the bot lane. But man, I mean, we are really daring JDG to play Ziggs and play Azir, and JDG sees the Ziggs and is like, no, we will not take that option. Gonna take the Gwen for Xiaoxu, which I expect to be in the top side. We did see a wee bit of Gwen jungle throughout the year, and we have already seen JunJia play a couple weird junglers in this series, so worth noting. But I'm pretty sure that's gonna be top Gwen.
It's decent into the Gnar, right? You have the Shroud to get away from some of those boomerangs. Also effective in the same way against a Ziggs, regardless of if it is a mid or a bot lane selection. So Xiaoxu able to get the Gwen, who was banned against in the last couple of games, getting to the second ban phase, and you can see we're deep and fearless because we're getting these pocket picks taken away now. Shun's Kindred off the board.
That's a Shun special that will be denied, I think somewhat reasonably so. This game as displacement with Lamb's Respite, quite powerful. That leads even more credence to Azir will be ignored this draft by JDG, Grapes, as that Emperor's Divide, quite nice with Lamb's Respite in the game. Gives you a lot of control over that ultimate, but don't want to see that. So, Yone taken away for HongQ.
Increases the need for maybe for an AP mid laner, or an AD mid laner, I should say, now with the Gwen being locked in. Something that we haven't seen so far in the drafts is Maokai. This is a champion that really has risen up in priority on this latest patch. We saw it used against JDG rather successfully in their game against top esports, and JunJia also has had some experience on the pick, but it looks like carry junglers more the name of the game in terms of what JDG are afraid of, as Jun definitely waiting to be unleashed, as he's had a bit of a rougher series so far.
I think that Jace ban is very smart because it also hits Knight's pool. If that is Ziggs bot, I think Jace mid really good, and a good identity into Aphelios is poking him, taking range is a good strategy. So curious to see that. I will also tease out Senna as being an option that Viper could play into Aphelios and Thresh. That is up, but looks like HongQ, again, we keep on harping on this identity for HongQ and JDG, very much being mid laners that can impact the map and move. So far, we have seen 4 games now that Ahri is locked in, where HongQ has locked in mid laners that can impact the map and move. As Ahri, that playmaker who can get pushed with the Q and can make plays with the dash on the R. To see if HongQ can make his mark on that champion. Also denies Knight from one of the best champions that he has to play in his arsenal.
Waiting for what BLG want to wrap their composition up with. Most likely mid jungle, maybe bot jungle. LeBlanc going assassin for assassin. This is another Knight special that confirms the Ziggs is going to be sent down to the bottom lane, and we're expecting now an AD jungler for Shun.
I mean, I quite like LeBlanc this game, actually. I think LeBlanc has a pretty happy game into Ahri plus Aphelios. Can make that Aphelios go bye-bye. There isn't any hard CC to really threaten LeBlanc that's showing so far. So I do think that whether this Gwen is jungle or top, they're going to have to find some hard CC to maybe threaten LeBlanc. But no marksman on the board for BLG, but a very bursty composition that they are showing for themselves. As Kha'Zix's locked in, I feel like that pushes the Gwen more so towards the top lane. And again, JunJia, the importance of taking hard CC, I think goes up even further as another assassin has entered the Rift.
Oh, I'd be surprised to see that one get locked. Just very volatile champion with an already volatile composition. This would be interesting, though.
This could go top.
Lock-in of a Rek'Sai could potentially have this go up to the top lane, but instead we see an Aatrox get locked in. Most likely for Xiaoxu, but we'll wait to see what exactly these bans hold. No, it looks like JunJia is going to be the one to pick this one up.
Now, I like Aatrox a lot in games where there's no marksman, because the ability to go like really heal up and utilize the deep health pool that Aatrox has if he can land the sweet spot Qs and auto, it's big in this game. And that's kind of an interesting way, though, to find hard CC. I'm a little bit scared. I just think that JDG, they don't have a single button where they can press like a stun onto Kha'Zix LeBlanc and then connect with all their CC from there. I'm a bit worried for JDG. I know that they have the marksman, but I see a lot of poke for BLG against Aphelios Thresh that I quite like. And I think a lot of onus is going to be on HongQ to make those plays with the charm, because he's going to be the one that's fishing to start off some of these fights. And if he's not able to connect, or he gets set behind early on in the lane, which has happened in the last few games against Knight, could see JD Gaming's comp having a bit of trouble. But JD Gaming, they've had the better strats so far, Grapes. They've really played out those strats better than BLG, who have had 3 early game leads, but find themselves down 1-2 as we head to the game 4 of the series.
And interestingly enough, with their backs against the wall, a lot of comfort here for BLG. On the Leona Classic, been on the Gnar, a Classic Viper, a lot of experience on this Ziggs, and you know, Knight on LeBlanc, always ready to handle a lot and to dish out the pain. They need to win this game to stay alive here in the upper bracket, force that decisive game number 5, or else it'll be JDG moving on to first stand.
Oh, Grapes. I see an Ignite on Knights LeBlanc. So, we're really getting after it out of the jungle. Is JunJia going for something a little cheeky here, and oh, that's kind of unlucky timing from Shun. He's going to see it now, but his Raptors are gone. Aatrox eats the camp, and he has the ability. He might force the smite out of Shun here.
Oh, yeah, he's actually not going to try to smite this Raptor camp. He instead is trying to greed for the red buff. Won't actually matter, as Shun takes it away in time, but free camp in favor of JunJia. These are the level 1s, the creativity that we were talking about.
He's continuing too. He's going to E over. Smite fight? Yep.
He's going to get it. Yeah. No smite on Shun. Means that he's able to pick this one up. A couple of extra minions this time, remembering that the small probes are important. Shun, though, flashing over the wall. How can it have JunJia in a bit of trouble? JunJia flashes the opposite way, and now it's Knight with priority, and Knight hunting for his first kill. JunJia is probably going to have to take this out the hard way. Looking for a potential execute. Going to have to get under this tier 3, trying to buy as many seconds as possible, and it should be, no, it's first blood. Picked up here for Shun, and Knight gets some XP as well.
That is not the start that JunJia was looking for. I think that the extended trade versus the red buff, where you get the slow, the bonus damage on the Kha'Zix passive, not to mention the Q isolated damage coming in, not going to be worth the camps that were taken or denied. So Shun going to get in, take a little bit away. As Vampire,
interesting interaction really there with that sentence on the on. Don't think he wanted that Zenith Blade to fully convert, but there's such a flash away, or sorry, a cleanse I should say, from Gala, and it comes at the cost of the Leona Smite, or flash.
Vampire, I think worth noting, Vampire has definitely shown that he can play Thresh in the few games we have seen him play. Vampire's Thresh is of note. I know it's got at least one loss to it from the top esports series that we casted, Grapes. Vampire did not deserve to lose that game. That was he played out of his mind that game. He was the reason they almost won that game. As the flash death sentences were significant. That said, Shun. Uh-oh.
Chains don't connect. JunJia is able to convert that smite once again. Seems to be
He knows red buff's down,
bit
though.
of a trend.
Yeah, he knows red buff's up, so we're going to see Shun. He needs to look at the red buff. That's control word. Will be found by Vampire, and a good walk from Vampire to make sure that JunJia is able to pick this up. Because if left undeterred, it is a double longsword Kha'Zix with the red buff who would be able to push into the Aatrox there. So a good hover from Vampire will secure JunJia the next couple camps, and could even be a second crab to his name if he makes his way up top.
Look at Bin now. Exhausted form. Xiaoxu about 200. Has that potion running, so should be all right underneath the tower. But I see Bin also being able to exert a little bit of dominance as BLG off to a good start to game number 4.
Yeah, I think for me, the champ I always associate the most with Bin is Jax. Next would be Gnar. Bin kind of wrote the matchup book in terms of a lot of Jax matchups. Gnar a little bit as well. This is just a champ where if you have the ability to show off your mechanics in space a bit, Gnar is a champion, especially in the top lane. You can really show that skill set off with, and that's where Bin has been the top laner to beat in the LPL, really since his days with Suning and making that first world final.
Not connecting down to the bottom lane as On gets flayed back and then death sentence. No more Eclipse, so this is now a bit more of a vulnerable Leona. He uses the Shield of Daybreak and makes sure nothing else happens there. Meanwhile, in the top side of the map, Shun going for an invade onto the second spawning of the Gromp. JunJia should be able to be just alright, as Shun is basically just posturing here, knowing that Knight is in base at the moment.
I think JunJia could fight this one if he really wants to.
This might fight. Who wins it? This time Shun gets the upper hand. Now he's level 5 as well. Should be able to jump on out, and that's a nice takeaway here for the BLG jungle.
Those Qs might have looked funny. He was just prepping Q3 to try and win the smite fight there. But I think the jungle attack might continue. HongQ is actually making his way up to the Krugs. He burns the
rush
ults.
Forward. Oh, he's trying to find him in the bush. Dashes in. Oh, cancels the recall. Lanes a charm. Will it be enough damage? Not just yet. But Shun's at 100 HP, going to try to cancel the back, or channel the back, I should say, before Xiaoxu arrives. Needlework not going to connect. Almost the third one. Not enough to take Shun down. He's in a very bad spot. Should most likely go down. HongQ taking tower aggro, though, and Bin's hit Mega, and Shun will not go. He's still alive, finally. Xiaoxu goes forward with the snip, but he makes it a 1-for-1, and it should be more after that, with Knight finally being able to arrive to the play. It's 3-1 now on the scoreboard for Bilibili Gaming, and they can make it a little bit more. Bin jumping over the wall, taking Xiaoxu down. On the bottom lane, though, it's JDG having the upper hand in the bot lane. Death sentence lands onto Viper, and with red and white guns, Gala is nearly able to get a second.
I mean, props to Vampire Gala. I didn't see what happened down there. We're going to leave that at that because we saw what happened top. And I don't know what happened on the side of JDG in this dive. Okay, we're going to start here. Nice cleanse from Gala. But again, I just don't think this is a fight that On can really take. Viper's too low mana to win any sustained fight here. And the Severum just being available. Like, Gala's mostly using the white gun there. But if he uses red, I think that he picks a lot of the health back up. So I'm going to scratch my head a bit at BLG's option to opt into that fight bot the way they did. However, top side, JDG took too long to make that play happen. And the fact that Shun was able to stall for as long as he did, that bought time to catch the wave that HongQ had pushed into him and rotate up top, even when he was down TP. He's got Ignite, no TP. Knight was still able to get up there, impact the play, pick up a kill, and Bin picked up 2, which is really going to warp this matchup top in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, it was relatively even. Now Bin up pretty big as BLG have the early lead. Can't say that that means much, though, given the way the rest of this series has gone, although we do like the way the composition functions a little bit more than we did in Game 3.
Yeah, I don't think that we're in a position where we get disastrously outscaled here as BLG, as HongQ is going to spot Shun.
Oh, Shun, he's going to flash in. Did not realize that was enough damage, but hey, that's why Shun's the pro and not us. That's an easy kill again, as Shun gets kill number 2 here in Game 4.
He's got the evolved claws, and Shun going to be able to use those to pick up the kill mid. Going to rip through the topside jungle of JunJia as well. Dragon will be the price. But the bot lane's kind of going in favor of JDG anyway. So I think Xun picking up what he is off this play. Big win for BLG.
Now maybe Xiaoxu going to be the target as Bin is now Mega. Waiting for this wave to crash in. Xun opting out of the dive. Instead, allowing Bin to do most of the heavy lifting himself. Chunk Xiaoxu down to about 40%. And is going to be back in base, happy enough with just a plate to his name.
At Just Gnar Things does the combo where he is able to throw his ult and take away most of your health and walk out without a tower shot, which is very fun. BLG gets 3 grubs to their name off the back half of this too. Is Xun again going to continue to keep power farming, I should say, on this Kha'Zix, where the 2 assassins being in here for BLG. Again, I think this is a style that really fits them and Xun. I think that BLG is at their best when they're playing with winning lanes, and Xun can get active around them. And LeBlanc and Kha'Zix as a duo together definitely do a lot of damage if they are able to get going, and currently the mid-jungle duo is rolling in favor of BLG.
Nice charm here for HongQ as he distorts back. Knight poking a little bit here, using the second proc there. Get a little more damage onto HongQ, but end up mattering too much. BLG now gathering a 2,000 gold lead. First dragon was secured by JDG Gaming, though, off of that bot play, so they're feeling good in that field.
So, I think as we look at this game, you know, we said that we like BLG's comp better in this one with how it interacts. I think getting into more specifics, so there's going to be differing styles as this game continues. I think looking at JDG, they have the DPS advantage with the champions that they have. They have the marksman bot. The DPS of Gwen can be very scary if Gwen's allowed to rip through a fight in the top side, right? For the control of some of these fights with BLG and the double assassin, again, the ability for Leona to set up some of these picks for Kha'Zix the block, but also for Ziggs to control space. I think that's something that JDG is going to have difficulty working into as this game continues, and the onus is on BLG to make sure that JDG doesn't get the DPS fights that champions like Gwen, like Aphelios, are looking for. So I think that's where we're going to see a clash of styles really emerge later on in this game, Grapes. And we'll see if BLG can be disciplined enough to play out the comps where, with stuff like Ziggs, you got to hold space. You have to take control of a map and not let go of it. And that's something that BLG as a team has struggled with a bit in the past.
Where do those resources end up being important to take into control, and where can you give up opportunities, you know, without losing too much? It's been something that obviously has not been in BLG's calculus as much so far. Now JDG potentially looking for a gank onto Bin. He's spotted out here with the ward, so not going to be in much danger. Vampire was hovering through the lane as well, but it looks like they're going to go for a regank with Bin exhausted. But he's safe enough, backed away, and maintains his lead in this 1v1.
I think this was more so, let's make sure that Xiaoxu can reset. Which
fair enough.
He will. So, the Gwen's going to base on the cannon wave. That's okay. But this does give BLG the opportunity to sneak back up here and take some control back, as JDG did show their members up top and also showed them exiting. But JunJia actually going to spot out on here. And with Vampire hovering, I really like this walk from Vampire. Lantern could be a big game changer.
That sentence goes wide. Xun looking for that potential dive, but JDG have done a good job responding to any of the pressure that their opposition has brought towards them. As I say that, though, Bin goes forward, lands the Mega Gnar to send Xiaoxu back, and On is immediately there with the Solar Flare. And Xun from downtown will snipe him down with the Vorpal Spikes to make it 6-2 BLG.
Something object permanence for Xiaoxu there.
Literally.
Yeah, I mean, we saw 3 members top, and that was unforced error, to steal some other sports terms there, Grapes. As the Gwen falls, and that is important. I mean, as Gwen, you are only as strong as the resources that you are able to consume on the map. Gray screen for Xiaoxu. There's less resources for the Gwen, and more happy times here for BLG.
Not a lot of consuming, as now HongQ could be in danger of being eaten alive by Knight. The Ignite's ticking. Nearly takes him down. Remember to take your potions, folks.
Drinking good in the mid lane for HongQ. Keeps him alive. DP back. Be alright too. I will say that means Knight has to base now. This is a one-wave window where JDG might be able to look at Dragon, but I don't know if this Dragon's realistic. I'm looking at the bot lane items. If I could draw on my screen right now, draw a big circle around Gala and Ziggs in the inventories that we have. I see a completed Ludens versus a completed Cole. So Stormrays are likely to be in tow for Gala, but he's got a reset for it, and that should be enough time for Xun to rip through this Dragon with his Evolve Claws.
So count even at 1. BLG looking good here in Game 4. They're trying to force that decider, keep themselves in the running for that first spot from the LPL at first stand, happening in Brazil. Just a few short weeks. I think it's less than 2 weeks at this point. We're really counting down the days at this point, Cubby.
It's starting to speed up. I should know. I talked to Raz and got, he told me to schedule. I'm blanking. I'm panicking in front of the LPL here. Gotta focus on the games anyway.
We get the sentiment at the very least. As looks like Bin now is gonna get targeted by a gank from JunJia, but does a lot of damage back onto Xiaoxu and has the decent movement speed from the Hyperprocs. Flashes away from that final Q, and in comes Xun to turn the tides. That's one on to Xiaoxu, a second onto JunJia, sure to follow. Knight's the one to secure it, and BLG are running the table in Game 4. HongQ jumps over with the Blast Cone, looking to try to find at least the wave to make sure this tower doesn't go down.
Yeah, they want the brick. Vampire will get a bit of a chunk down here on the bin, but that big shield will keep him healthy. And that attempt from JDG wasn't as close as I was hoping as it would be, Grapes. I want to give Bin a little bit of credit. Had some really good clicks to get out of the sweet spots of Aatrox. Kind of gamed JunJia on the Q entering the fight with some of the clicks that he had. But that I would constitute that as a rather poor effort from JDG, which is too bad because they've had a lot of good efforts throughout this series. That one just, that wasn't one of them. And this game seems to be spiraling a little bit.
They were very eager to try to force something onto Bin. You know, the typical signs, hey, he's mini Gnar, let's go for something. But he's still pretty strong as mini Gnar, and this is Bin's Gnar that we're talking about as well. Not to mention Xun coming in, getting a kill, number 4 on the game. Nice hook, though, is going to connect onto Knight. Vampire gets a big shutdown over to HongQ. And that's much needed gold into JD's pockets.
If a death sentence is connecting out of the Blanc throughout the game, I'm gonna usually take inventory and say that the Blanc made a bit of an oopsie. Bit of an oopsie there from Knight, as
fair enough.
Vampire again continues to prove why I think his Thresh should be feared in the league. Thresh is a champ where you can really demonstrate player skill. Vampire doing a good job of that. I'm talking through that one. Whew. He was dead.
As Gala tasted Xun's fear right there, or maybe tasted his own fear as Xun smited him down. 5-1-3. You know, I'm going to say it. Haven't been a ton of successful Kha'Zixes so far in the playoffs. There's been a bunch of selections that end up going awry. I'm looking at you, Krako. But this time, Xun having a good opportunity on this on an elimination game.
And we need to be more like Scuman in the LPL, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
More like
I see him at first stand.
I mean, I was kind of worried when I saw the Kha'Zix locked in that we might see a Gwen jungle. I had a little bit of PTSD from that game, but
yeah, not the best if you're an NA fan.
Actually, sorry, it was Yike that had the banger Kha'Zix. I'm thinking about K-Corp Mad Lives, not the
Won't be
GT
seeing him.
series. Yeah. No, we will not. That's all right.
Anyway,
we'll be seeing Shelly at first stand. Shun's going to focus on that. Yeah, a lot of Shelly.
Maybe too much, depending on your attitude towards the Rift Herald. Will get picked up here by Xun.
Can't believe you do Geraldo Rift Herald like that. Just
Geraldo, what?
Geraldo Rift Era. It was an old name. Shout out to TJ. That was an old one that TJ had.
Is that going to be what they say in Brazil? I don't know the language too well.
But we're riffing on Shelly a bit. There's not much to riff on when it comes to this game. I'm kind of waiting for BLG to hopefully... I think, again, BLG, we'll see different play patterns as this game moves forward. BLG really want to deny the DPS fights from JDG, because if Gwen and the Felios are allowed the DPS, and that's their comeback mechanic, but at the moment, I'm seeing a 7K gold lead at the 18-minute mark, and I'm going to favor the team that has a 17 or 7K gold lead at the 18-minute mark. I know there's
if you do results-based analysis, it's basically anyone's game.
Results-based analysis says this is a 33% win rate from this position. Oh, no.
As we say that, JunJia looking for Bin again. In winning our form. We'll see if he gets caught out. No, nice.
Results-based analysis says this is a poor play from JDG.
Yeah, I think my eyes tell me this would have been a bad play from JDG. As it looks like they're going to give over this next dragon as well due to that over-indexation.
I mean, to be fair to JDG, I don't think they can really contest this dragon. And this is not a dragon that I'd sign up to die on a hill for. So maybe looking at Bin was the wise choice. That said, Bin going to play his way out of it. A-okay. So Bin bases navigates the gank. A little bit more goals going over the Gwen. But it is the Evolved Claws ripping through that dragon for BLG and Shun as they pick up their second dragon of the game.
Good looks here for Bilibili, at least so far. And again, we like the scaling on this composition if they're able to play the team fights outright. JDG also a very scrappy, damage-heavy composition, and those generally don't do very well when you're significantly far behind in terms of gold. And so that's why maybe we're even feeling worse. JunJia gonna get slowed down here by the solar flare, locked down by a lot of abilities thrown at him by On. Now he'll be forced to proc his ult and his flash to get away.
Vampire. Ooh, guess wrong.
Yeah, Knight's gonna go forward as well with the Mimic, take him down again.
Yep.
Knights LeBlanc reigning supreme here in this game 4 as BLG really put in their pedal to the metal.
I mean, JunJia doesn't have access to his camps anymore as... Oh, that's a bold play.
Blast Cone, no ulti this time, and that means that JunJia's gonna go down. So a great fight, I guess. HongQ's looking for some sort of trade, but not gonna happen. BLG, I think we can definitively say this, very ahead in this one.
I'd say a 9K gold lead is better than a 7K gold lead, and we're not stopping there. As Geraldo Rift Hera gonna save her charge for the inhibitor turret. See if anyone from BLG wants to hop in that one. But top and mid inner being secured before Baron is
That was blind.
JDG's map is narrowing quite a bit. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. 10,000 gold now. I mean, we don't want to put anything away given what we've seen from JDG in the playoffs, but this is certainly looking good for them. Looking good, I should say, for BLG and for Knight. Chance for him to get back to the Grand Finals. Not only an opportunity at International. Just take a look at this. In all the Tier 1 tournaments that Knight has played in throughout his competitive career, made the finals in over half of them. That's impressive just to make the playoffs in that many percentage of times. Making it to the finals, I mean, this guy has been dominant kind of through and through throughout his career.
That's, I believe Roger Federer won 55% of his points in his pro playing career. So the odds that Roger Federer wins a point in tennis, almost the same as Knight making a final.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Right, that is crazy. And again, LPL, I said it, LPL, it runs through Knight. Ever since he's joined the region, ever since he won that first final, this region, you want to win, you want to compete, you got to go through him. And he's been tough to get through, so... Looks like him and his team's going to secure this game, would need to secure one more in order to make their way into that grand final and bump that percentage up to be a little bit closer to Federer's, you know?
And the ones, you know, trying to stop him, of course, are HongQ and JunJia, who were the players that the LCP ran for a number of years, specifically in JunJia's case when you go back to his time over on PSG. So that's the test that Knight's going to have to face. A challenger has approached. So far, that challenger has gotten the best of him, but not in the most important of games, that being here in the postseason. So Knight looking to take BLG all the way to 5 here, has been alongside a downtown snipe from Viper, is able to get a kill on a Vampire, and now On is looking for more on the JunJia. Satchel sends JunJia back, and that will be 2-0 once again.
You know, I feel like JDG deserves a wee bit of grief for this draft grades. I was not a fan of the H-Rocks coming in later on. Hasn't looked great. I think it's been a bit of... JunJia fell behind early with A couple oopsies. That didn't help, but also I was really looking for hard CC. Been a lack of that.
Battle here between our two mid laners. One, of course, more of a legacy here in the LPL than the other, but quickly HongQ is working to make that a bit of a change. No Baron, or sorry, Baron I should say, taken by BLG in the meantime, by the way, so they're looking to finish this one up quick.
Just, you know, you have a 5 pick on jungle. I know a lot of options are gone this game, but having that just point and click against champs as slippery as Kha'Zix LeBlanc, and in as skilled of players' hands as we have is Xun and Knight. Yeah, I mean, we even saw Bin kind of operate his way around the sweet spot's top. I just think that this was, you know, part of why you see Pantheon Rise be really popular in pro play is to have those point clicks. And that was lacking this game from JDG, and I think it made the game a lot harder on him. And it's showing in the late game here.
When you got LeBlanc on the other team, point and click's generally pretty good. You know? So not having that means that Knight's been able to have a great time. Xun is just absolutely feasting, almost 6,000 gold ahead of JunJia. We haven't gotten to cream territory yet, in which case maybe we have to be a little bit worried. So far, doing very well for himself here on the Kha'Zix, as Knight is going to be potentially a little bit of trouble. Had to use the flash to get away. Gala, a valiant effort, but does not yield any fruit.
Good attempt from Gala, like the red-white LeBlanc there. Again, it's about picks, spacing. Xun did opt for the evolved wings from the looks of things at level 16, as he has a 4-level advantage over JunJia. And frankly, again, we were a bit surprised that JunJia was getting the best of Xun and probably the MVP of the series throughout the first 3 games. I don't want to say I expected the matchup to go like this, to be this Xun favored, but I was expecting the jungle matchup to be a little bit BLG favored in this series. So yeah, it's been a bit of a roughie this game for JunJia.
Yeah, guess what? No, you can't outsmite your opponent if you're never set up to even get into position to steal away.
You know, that
objective
might have been the Kha'Zix.
Do that at all.
That was the Kha'Zix pick in a hole. It's like, hey, Xun, want to not lose smites anymore? Let's take some isolated Q with the Thality Kha'Zix. If you lose smites, then we need to have a different discussion.
Yeah, then we gotta be really concerned. As yeah, no contest means no problem here for BLG. We're looking for that 5th game at the moment. 1v2 opening up. Looks like BLG more than content to just sit on back, make sure that this game goes their way by claiming the Chemtech Soul in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I really no credence to this game going anywhere else besides to a game 5, as has been the JDG tradition in this bracket so far. So the team that all 3 2s to get here versus the team that 3-0'd their way here. It's not, and looking like it's not going to be a 3-1. It's looking like we might get some more familiar territory for JDG. So we're going to have to see if maybe BLG is seeing the fact that JDG has shown more cards throughout their run. Maybe that's advantageous for the Game 5. Maybe the experience of playing Game 5s on stage can be more advantageous for JDG. We're just going to have to see, frankly, when we get there at this point.
Don't cast a curse it just yet. We've seen some bad gold leads be thrown. I think this one is going to be tough to match. It's good hook landing onto Bin. BLG kind of just playing with their food at this point. No real intention of going for a fight until either of these major objectives spawn. When you go back to how this game really unraveled, I mean, it started with that level 1. We were praising JunJia's creativity. This time around, the invade onto the Raptors into the attempt to continue it onto the Krugs ends up paying back big time for BLG.
You know what I'm going to advocate for this game?
What is it?
Sometimes you just got to sign up to be a little bit of a piggy jungler, you know?
Sometimes you got to lock in Maokai and be happy about it.
Nah, I was thinking Sejuani, because you don't want triple damage topside.
JunJia's great at Sejuani, yeah.
I think this was the Sejuani game, where you just eat it, and you play Sej. You have a Thresh that helps a lot. You can set up for Gwen a bit too, Permafrost. I just not the Aatrox. This is Hard CC. That's... I was going through. I was like, what hard CC can we find? It was a Sejuani game.
Yeah. If I was banned, that would have been easy. A choice alongside the RA. Not available this time around. And so with that being said, JDG now very much have their backs against the wall in this game. There's no real way to go except back into your own Nexus unless things go very, very awry. BLG looking confident, looking poised. Got less than a minute now until these major objectives spawn, and they'll have their pick of the litter on which one to go to first.
Yeah, again, folks, I think that the comp for BLG really trying to deny the DPS fights that JDG could have, because it is a massive gold lead in their favor, but the last thing you want to do is opt into a fight that the enemy team wants, especially when you are lacking a marksman with that DPS yourself. So I think BLG taking a little bit more of a methodical approach to this one, which frankly is refreshing from my perspective, because this team has frustrated me at times, playing a little bit too fast, getting ahead of their britches, ahead of their skates, and tripping up over themselves at points. So and I don't want to see that. I would like a game 5 tonight, Grapes. This series has been fun.
Oh, nice!
By Gala.
Goes in, and Gala is just deleted. There's a double kill again for Shun, who's having his way with his old team, going for Vampire next, a triple kill for the Bug. Baron might not even be needed, as it's a 5v2 now for BLG. They're going to run right down the mid lane. They're going to break open this inhibitor, and they could even look for more.
Yeah, let's get us out of here. Let's get into this game 5, Grapes. It's been a fun series so far tonight. BLG not going to throw this lead. Really good game from Shun, punishing JunJia, playing too fast, too early, as BLG take a very dominant game 4 victory.
There is no wave right now. They're going to have to wait for this next one to be escorted in. 10 seconds on JunJia, but it should not matter. BLG, with the most dominant win that we've seen all day against JDG Gaming, are going to send us to game number 5, because between these two teams, there was no other way for it to go down. Respawns have come through, but the Nexus is gone. BLG win, and we are headed to that decider.
Yeah, I mean, this game was, in hindsight, over pretty quickly. JunJia, when you go 0-6-0 as a jungler, that's a feels bad, man. So we'll see if JDG can bring him back for this game 5. But yeah, lack of hard CC against 2 assassins, not exactly a winning formula. I think the point and click CC, crowd control, might have been a little bit helpful there for the side of JDG. That was lacking, and BLG, they punished.
That was, yeah, I mean, clinical in terms of the execution there by BLG. They were helped a little bit by JunJia going for that, invade that did not end up going so well, and Shun finally getting a chance to issue some revenge and make sure he has a good game in this series, because it's been a lot of JunJia so far in this best of 5, and it's good to get a chance to talk about Shun back here with BLG after spending that year with JDG Gaming. He wanted that full starting spot last year. BLG didn't give it to him, then they realized that was a mistake. Now back with open arms and looking to send BLG to another international event.
They made up, It's
BLG
Sometimes
you need the distance to remember how close you guys actually were.
BLG looked at their history of junglers and were like, we needed to go back to the one that worked. This roster is not working out. We need to get things down to one singular individual that we can put all of our faith and time in. And they awarded that individual a nice contract, I assume, hopefully for a long duration of time, as we continue to putz around this metaphor. But yeah, it has been a rough series for Shun so far, but getting the assassin that game, getting a later pick in the draft definitely helped, and Shun made full use of it. So Assassin of Fury didn't exactly work. Assassin Kha'Zix did exactly work. And we'll see what we have in store for game 5. Is, again, I mean, a lot of champions are off the board. I think that where my head points to immediately is we just saw Azir go unpicked, unbanned throughout a full draft. Does that change for the next game? Also, Vi, Pantheon, Orianna, Varus, the consistent bans we've seen in all of our games today. Does that continue for the game, or do we have any of those picks get dropped? Who knows? Only advantage going in is that JDG get first selection. See what they use for that, and we'll go from there.
Hey, that's part of the advantage they have garnered by getting all the way to this point. Now they have, of course, the opportunity to have first pick, second pick, whatever they want. I think it's going to be first, given how the rest of these games have progressed so far. there's really no other way for this one to go. I mean, these are two teams that have been at the top of the league for a while. Both have had their ups and downs. JDG looking for their first international in a while. BLG looking for just a little bit of redemption after what was a disastrous Worlds performance by them where they didn't even make the quarterfinals. Have a new roster together, and so far, so good. One more game will send each of these guys to first stand.
Yeah, I don't even know what else to say. You know, when I see a Ziggs in my game, I kind of assume that they're going to lead in damage. If that Ziggs is 4th in damage for a game on their team, that Ziggs was either inting or you definitely lost that game. Because that champ does so much damage as we're going to watch the illegal dive. The fact that Xun got out of this as long as he did was just ballistic to me. And again, we bought time for Knight to get back up here for all BLG to turn this 3v2 into a 3-for-1. It's not exactly what you want from your dives, but yeah, game kind of took off from here. We already missed out on the JunJia death. That was set up earlier. This was not close to working out as the Q missed from Xiaoxu. JunJia was gamed by Bin. Bin had some good clicks here again as Bin has played his way out of a couple ganks well in this series. I think that both top laners have had some decent moments. Bin down numbers in some of those scenarios has played quite well. And again, Nara definitely a pick we associate with Bin. Bin showing why is Nara's feared yet again in this one.
Still more chances for pocket picks to go through now that we're in Game 5 of this Fearless format. As Bin certainly had a good time. Knight had a great time on his LeBlanc as well. As you see, this final assassination on Gala. Didn't get all the way there, but Xun did with his spikes. And, you know, the good thing about this one, Cubby, is that this was not Game 5. Because if this was Game 5, things would be kind of sad. So hopefully, get a little bit of a better quality game for
I don't know, man.
this final one.
Seen a lot of depressing Game 5s in my day. But
yeah.
it'll be exciting. I mean, we're down to a Game 5. Keep in mind, guys, circling back to the stakes of today, not only is this to book a ticket to the grand finals for LPL Split 1, it is also to book a ticket to First Stand. So winner of the next game, we will see them internationally. Both rosters have teams of players that we're used to seeing internationally. So for JDG Gaming, I know that would be new for some of the faces, at least in the LPL, looking at Vampire and Xiaoxu, but we've gotten used to seeing JunJia and HongQ on that stage, and then BLG, perennial contenders on the international stage. So big game coming up here for Game 5.
I mean, any Game 5 is big, but with this being the upper finals and all of the stakes and the potential qualifications that we've already unraveled, you know that this is about to be important. And you gotta stay tuned here. Xun winning player of the game, getting, again, a bit of a get back against his former team. It's been 3 junglers so far winning these player of the games in the 4 games. Will it happen for a 5th? Who is really going to be that team to get sent to the international stage for the first time here in the LPL this season? We've got the draft. We've got the game of game number 5 coming up right after this on LPL English.